to session number 7. One more to go. It's all very sad. And today's session is very important. You've heard me say this for every session. Yes, the answer is yes. I plug in every session because we have designed this program to be meaningful and to be useful. Resources, inputs, outputs. At the end of the day, it's how you manage your business, how you really build the efficiency side of the business, the effectiveness side of the business, how you capture information and make it available in the right format, at the right time, for the right people, and to enable the decision-making process, because business thrives on the basis that decisions can be made on time, can be made accurately, and can, if you like, guide the business. And then there are other sides to resources, how you evaluate technology, and how you invest in the right systems, and how you create those boundaries of the business that will protect you against adversities, but that will enable you, if you like, to propel the business, thrive and build competitive advantage. And there is another element of resources which we considered separately. If you remember, we had speakers from Fujitsu to talk about partnerships, because I believe that part of the process to give you access to resources is to hook in with your suppliers and hook in with a wide variety of partners as well. So I think what I would like to do from the kickoff is just share with you one aspect of resource management. It's, if you like, creating the umbilical cord that makes sure that the business is fed properly, is thriving, and the theme of enterprise resource planning obviously is a very recent one, and we have done a lot of work in this particular field. So what I would like to do is talk about ERP systems. What are they? Why are they useful to businesses? And then I will zoom in to talk about our own research. And then I will finish by presenting a model to you, which tells you about what are the critical factors that you need to pay attention to if you are planning to drive your business through an integrated enterprise resourcing system. So it's vital for any business, be it in our own industry or in your industry as well. So what are enterprise resource planning systems, first of all? Yes, there are systems driven by software where all the information is integrated into a seamless fashion, where you have all the applications that represent the business in discrete manner, all fitting together into a central database. And the whole purpose of that is to create that synergy between the various disciplines to represent the flow of value from A to B to C to D until you hit the customer. So HR basically contribute to one aspect, management, accounting and finance to another, and the other side of the business would do so as well. So you don't have these standalone systems, the left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing, because I think that was what has hampered businesses previously, is that lack of communication. You see, we do different things in silos. We don't communicate with each other. What happens when you manage resources in this way? You have a lot of duplication. Duplication is cost. Cost is a tumor. You also have areas of the business which are, if you like, stifled of vital information to make the right decisions. You also have money spent on maintenance, and you cannot basically maintain the whole system. Each discrete part of the business is crying out for support, for help, for investment, for updating, and so on and so forth. So you can imagine for the whole business, this is like, if you like, being pulled down as you're trying to move forward all the time. So this is not an option. And therefore the legacy information systems or the isolated discrete systems are no longer an option in the 21st century. I think if you compare the benefit, if you say, okay then, would it be better off for us to design our own system? System development life cycle is really the thing that in the 70s and the 80s many organizations have gone for, and to create their own programmers, to create their own software, and to manage through the techies, through those who design the systems. let's benchmark enterprise resource planning systems which are made available in the marketplace versus the system development lifecycle. Yes, of course, it's cheaper to do your own. There is no doubt about it. And yes, you could even control the risk of implementing your own. But I think I would like to draw your attention to the, if you like, the lower three critical factors. Because those are the areas that will help you, if you like, by having a process-based enterprise resource planning system being put in place. The cost is high, but the returns are high. It enables you to prepare your organization for the future. It enables you basically to fundamentally analyze the ethos of your business and whether you're focusing on the customer, because it demands it. It demands that you have to be process-oriented. It's driven by not technical people, by business process and focused approaches. It's focused on the customer. The complexity is hidden because the end user sees the functionality, and the functionality normally is presented in a user-friendly manner. Don't want to be diverted from what we are supposed to do. What we're supposed to do is render value to the customer, and we're not there to learn about the technical aspects of the system. So therefore, you can see the attractiveness of doing that. But of course, once it is attractive, and here's a long list of organizations that have benefited from adopting resource management through a focus on enterprise-wide systems. Arla Foods, for example, one of our sponsors, they are saying that ERP systems have helped them now get the data from all the critical core aspects of the business. Airbus are saying basically by linking all the various applications, we have so much potential because the data enables us to forecast, to make predictions, to divert our resources into where it is needed most, and so on and so forth. Monsanto, for example, because they moved from the SDLC to ERP systems, they're saying we don't need these techies anymore, and the numbers they have reduced from 500 to 50. Microsoft have appreciated the speed of working through an integrated ERP system, and they're saying now they close their books in 5 days instead of 4 weeks, as conventionally was the case. AstraZeneca saying we are focused on the customer now. We're not distracted by anything else. We're not spending time chasing our own tails and getting information from other parties. The information is there in front of us. So all what we have to do is deliver to the customer. And Alveo in Switzerland have talked about cost savings, 2 million Swiss francs as a result of introducing ERP systems. So yes, the argument is that the best way to manage your resources in the 21st century is to look at an integrated, seamless approach to a central database where all the key elements of your business are playing together. However, our research indicates that 90% at least of ERP implementation efforts are late or over budget. Surprise, surprise. And a lot of them are over-promised and under-delivered. 50% in fact at least fail to achieve the desired results. So that is the reality, you see, because the software is means to an end. It's just enabling the approach. The big challenge is the behavioral mindset, using a process mentality, making sure you prepare the business first and then you integrate with ERP systems. But if you take it from the shelf and you try to adapt it to a conventionally structured approach to your business, then you don't stand a chance. So I think what we're trying to say here is let's look at the big picture and let's avoid these unpleasant surprises when we implement ERP systems. So this takes us to our own research. Our own research really was set to look at the fundamentals behind introducing ERP systems and to contribute by suggesting a model, a methodology for enabling businesses to introduce ERP systems. And we had loads of objectives. You see, when you do research, you have to put these objectives. So we had to look at what is critical when you implement enterprise resource planning systems. What is critical? And in order for us to analyze this, we had to look at several case studies of failures and successes. And we had to measure the failures and successes from a user perspective, but also from an independent perspective. And based on this, we pulled out the list of critical factors, and some of those are vendor related, some of those are due to project management aspects, some of those are about fundamental transformations of the business, some of them are to do with people, their training, the skills and the competencies. And we also looked at the applicability of the software itself to different sectors. And we even analyzed the potential gains, you see, the real promises of what an ERP system can give. This is the methodology. It might not be significant for you, but for anybody doing a PhD, they have to really do this. And Dr. Abdullah Mudimir, who was the doctor, who spent 3 years doing this work, he had to adopt this methodology. And he had to prove that his work is consistent, is systematic, and is validated, if you like, as far as practically possible. For us to come to you today and preach it. To get to that model, for example, we had looked at all the case studies we could get hold of, 94 case studies published in the public domain. We also surveyed 102 organizations in something like 32 countries. So we looked at global adoption of ERP systems, and that's not a mean effort. This is the model we came up with, and very quickly I will go through it. You can see that the approach to managing resources, and Jeff probably will take you through a real life case study of how Shell does it. But essentially, you need to have a business case for introducing software-based information systems. You need to have that top management commitment, and you need to have the right competencies to drive the organization and capitalize on the investment in having those sound methodologies, systems, tools, and so on and so forth. So the introduction is really about the right planning leading to the right execution. And so the system will perform because you have spent time turning all the stones, planning, and then executing strategic level, tactical level, operational level. And the realization are the benefits that you pick up at the other end. So no surprises, because you spend a lot of time driving the business in this way. So the drivers, what drives an effective implementation of enterprise resource planning? Look at what you have first of all. Where are we now? What have we got now? Look at the systems capabilities that you have. Line those up against projected needs for the business. Where does the business need to go in 5 years? Could those information system enable you? Could they give you the mileage? And what benefits can I get if I want to abandon the old and bring in the new, bring in the ERP systems? What can I expect in terms of benefits? That evaluation is absolutely critical at the highest level possible. So we believe that that evaluation is really all of those factors put together. Top management commitment means that they ask the questions that I've just alluded to. Project management means that you drive it from a high level, strategic level. The business case is about cost and benefits and competitive advantages. The change management is preparing the organization for the new method, because ERP systems are not business as usual. They are shaking the business, getting process orientation to be in place. And the competencies required for the new business rather than the old one, plus the communication, making sure that as you progress forward, the business is ready. I think we're going to have the same problem like last time. Excuse me. We found from our research, and again, let me remind you that this is a global study which looked at experiences all over the world, we found that top management commitment and support is very critical throughout the implementation of ERP systems. Here's some examples about the experience of IBM, the experience of Siemens. They have actually had hands-on top management involvement in this. We also found that project management basically is a critical aspect which governs how you drive the implementation of the system and how you deliver quality products at the other end. And making the business case, I've already alluded to it, justify the approach to ERP software and basically how it's going to serve the business in the present and in the future. The business case we found tends to be missing. All those case studies, by the way, reported in the literature which talk about failures in ERP implementation, they all had the business case aspect missing. Isn't it funny? This would be the first issue that top management need to concern themselves with, and yet it has always been missing. Because I think there is a fascination with what the technology promises to do for you. Change management is real. You see, preparing the organization for the transformation, for the introduction of ERP. And again, this was one of the factors that we found was the lack of emphasis on this results in failures. How to deal with it against the success stories that we came across? Tremendous top management support, using your best people for guiding the ERP implementation system, and getting the users heavily involved in the field, creating that ownership. So not just waiting until the system in place and saying, we want to spend 2 hours training you about the functionality. Type in here and this is the data you get. That's nonsense. It's getting the user interface very much early on in the process. So the training is really top in the agenda at all levels within the project implementation. And it's really looking at competencies, not just basic skills for operating the functionality. And I mentioned communication, didn't I? Communication is what the system promises you. It's linkages between the discrete areas of the business. Data flows, information flows, decision making is right, the organization is guided, people are aligned behind the business objectives, performance is evaluated and measured, remedies and action plans are happening, and even the appraisal system and the reward and recognition systems, they all, if you like, tell the same story. We enable the organization to perform, we provide the resources for people to deliver value, we implement the value-added principles through designing the right processes, we monitor performance against our objectives, which are stakeholder-oriented, we reward people because they have delivered the promises and the performance. One story, you cannot just look at discrete parts of it. And I think that this is what ERP systems enable you to do. Remember the implementation, I said 3 levels: strategic, tactical, and operational. At the strategic level, you look at the whole organization. How much change is this going to cause, basically? How much disturbance to the existing structure and systems and everything else? And we need to identify precisely the effect that it will have on the smoothness of the operation and on our ability to continue delivering to the customer today, but equipping ourselves for tomorrow. The business vision is really saying, in 5 years' time, this is where we'd like to be, and the ERP system is going to enable us create a competitive advantage. So you're guiding not just the implementation of a technical software package, but you're guiding the implementation of the vision for the future, 5 years from now. That's very important, because if you emphasize on technology, you're not going to get the benefits. If you emphasize on the needs of the business, then you're going to evaluate from the business perspective. hiring consultants is a key issue. We found, you need the right expertise, because the core business of your business is not to be experts in ERP implementation, but to get the most out of it. I mean, that's what you're there for. So getting somebody whose a specialty it is to guide you, mentor you, support you in the implementation of that is absolutely vital. And most businesses anyway would need help from outside. And the other thing is learning from other situations, benchmarking, looking at organizations that have gone through similar transformational change and who have implemented ERP systems. I think at the tactical level is really the system itself, business process change, the configuration of your business, the selection of the software, the evaluation of the vendor, and the implementation of the project, the milestones. Should you do a big bang? Should you go by step, or should you fast track? These are three different scenarios. The culture of your organization, the resources that you have, the level of urgency, all of these play a critical factor, if you like. So, at the heart of it is making it happen. Software installation, and do some business process modeling to make sure that you optimize the functionality of the software against the requirements of the business process. How will it work? If you like, from a different tasks perspective, you need that flexibility within the process itself. Configuring the systems basically so that you can use it to perform to your own individual needs. Because if you buy it off the shelf and you don't bother with configuration, you will be, if you like, doing the hit and miss perspective, because you'll be fascinated by what the system does rather than what your business wants. And the focal point all the time is about what do we want to get out of it, you see. So it's horses for courses. Integration at the end of the day is critical, isn't it? Using the opportunity to join all the legacy systems together, to integrate them together, so you have one value chain, one seamless approach. Testing means users, one hand, supported by the technical people, so that if there is any teething problems or anything, they are solved. And going live means making sure that you move gradually from the old to the new, the transitions. So, very quickly, I thought I'll just tell you about one way of managing resources. This area is growing very, very significantly. If you go and survey business organizations of all sizes and from different sectors, you will find that one of their preoccupations or preoccupations of top management, one of the top four preoccupations, is implementing integrated systems or ERP systems. That is the only way forward. So I think our prediction is that will continue over the next N years. Whether you're a hospital, whether you are a bank, whether you are a manufacturing plant, this is going to continue, because managing cost, managing information, managing technology so it gives you competitive advantage is really the only way forward, for creating that competitiveness.